Tesla's Battery Investor Day is September 22nd, which is only a few weeks away now. Here are 10 predictions plus a bonus one involving SpaceX that range from almost certain to pretty nutty. So watch now, come back and watch after Investor Day, and let's see how I do. Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. This channel is dedicated to finding out whether I really do know it all or not. If you enjoy the channel, definitely make sure you like and subscribe, and please ask me questions in the comments or at my email address. So here are my predictions. I'm going to start with one that looks like it's going to be almost a certainty at this point, which is prediction number 1, silicon nanowires. So first of all, why? First of all, there's a company named Amprius, which was started by some Stanford researchers. They have recently moved literally right across the street from Tesla. It's like their two addresses are right next to each other. It seems a little bit coincidental. There's some speculation that they may have actually been purchased already by Tesla, but no matter what the situation is, they're definitely in bed. Just the fact that they're so close to each other. Also, the tweet that Elon Musk and Tesla sent out announcing Battery Investor Day officially is a bunch of little wiry looking things. And some people, I think it was Fred Lambert, did a reverse Google search on the image and discovered that yes, indeed, it appears to be silicon nanowire technology. Also, Elon Musk has been tweeting for some time about silicon nanowires. So I would consider this almost a done deal. I don't really want to go too in-depth in this right now because the episode is really focused on the predictions, but if you want an episode specifically on silicon nanowires and why they're such a big deal, definitely let me know in the comments because I will definitely do one. Without doing too deep a dive, the essential service that they provide is that silicon nanowires can actually provide a much higher energy density to the battery, which we'll get to in a later prediction down there. And the negative part about silicon as an anode is that it tends to expand radically and heat up a lot when it's heated. The nanowires solve that problem by essentially making the wires super, super small so that it's not an issue of them overheating and expanding and cracking the battery, which was a bad thing, right? Prediction number 2 is the how and when of silicon nanowires. So there's a question of like, is it going to be magically released to every vehicle that gets produced by Tesla? No, I do not think that's likely. I personally put the Model S Plaid as the number 1 thing they will use it for because they've been looking for something really swanky to do with the Plaid Model S. It's supposed to be coming out soon, so there you go.
What the hell was that? Spaceball 1. They've gone to Plaid.
I would suggest that probably the semi-truck will be the number 2 one because energy density is going to be huge for a semi-truck. Number 3 and 4, it depends on how they do the productions, but I think the Tesla Roadster will be number 3. It just depends on when they actually release the Tesla Roadster Model 2. And then the Cybertruck, I think, will actually be model number 4 because of the fact that it's a new vehicle. It's going to start to be produced in late 2021, which gives them time to start to ramp up to do mass market new technology with batteries. Chemistry, by the way, is really, really hard. So if they actually have this and Project Roadrunner over in Fremont is actually making progress, and I hope it has, otherwise I hope they wouldn't be having a battery investor day. But anyway, even if they've made huge progress, to get from there to actually ramping it to mass scale production is going to take a couple of years. So I would think the Cybertruck would probably be the number 1 mass market vehicle that would be released with this new technology. In addition, just one small point is that Panasonic apparently has dibs on producing the Model 3 and Model Y batteries, at least in the United States. So that makes it much less likely that those two vehicles will see them in the near future. Number 3 prediction, $100 per kilowatt hour. I believe that this is very close, and this may be a big announcement there. The reason why this matters is because that's the price point at which the conventional wisdom is that ICE cars and electric cars kind of match in terms of expense, initial expense, right? By all means, it seems like an electric car is much less expensive to drive over time. But if we hit that magic $100 per kilowatt hour for batteries, then we suddenly get to a point where electric cars actually, their sticker prices can become cheaper than equivalent ICE cars.
Game over, man. It's game over.
Number 4, the million-mile battery. I think this is also pretty close to a done deal. It may be tied up with the silicon nanowire technology, so it might be that the million-mile battery is also the silicon nanowire technology, because if they've got it working right, it should be able to charge and discharge many more times, and it should be able to hold more power so it doesn't have to charge and discharge as many times. So that would be a huge, huge thing if they actually get to that million-mile battery and they can announce it. Even if it's just in the Plaid Model S to start with, it'll be a gigantic announcement. Number 5, this one's a little bit boring, but I think this is almost a done deal. Panasonic has already announced that they have about a 10% energy density / improvement in construction capability in their batteries. So I think a 10% improvement for the Model Y and the Model 3 is almost a definite thing that's going to happen. Number 6, when will this 10% battery improvement take place? I think a 75% likelihood that it will happen in the near future, very near future, and a 25% likelihood that it already exists and that they've been releasing cars for at least a little while, like weeks or months, that actually has this technology already built in, but they've been software limiting it so that you don't notice it and nobody noticed before. And what they'll do is in Battery Investor Day, they will go, over-the-air update, you will suddenly get like 20, 30 more miles of range out of your existing car, and people will be super happy. I think that would be super cool if they could do that, if they could go like magic, if you have a car, it's got more range. Number 7, 400 kilowatt hour energy density. And that seems crazy, but Amprius has actually claimed that they're actually above that and maybe even closer to 500 kilowatt hour energy density. That's huge. It would again involve the silicon nanowire, which again is, I think, why that picture was there. I think it's that the kind of heart of most of these upgrades. That would just, like, number 1 is they could have excessive range, like 700 or 800 mile range on existing things, or they could keep the range at 300 to 400 miles for their cars and make the battery packs much smaller, which suddenly makes the cars much cheaper to produce. And that's a huge win-win for everyone. Number 8, new production techniques that remove constraints on batteries. I think this is also likely. I don't think that they're going to immediately be able to do this, but Elon Musk has been hinting very, very strongly that they're going to become a battery supplier as well as producing cars with batteries in them. In order to do that, they have to come up with a way of getting rid of that bottleneck. As I've said in other videos, the batteries are the major constraint point for producing electric vehicles. So I'm thinking that they have some kind of cool new technology that they're working with CATL, Panasonic, Tesla, BASF, which is a new partner. I think they're going to be doing something with Maxwell's dry electrode technology, which will allow them to produce batteries much more quickly and efficiently. And therefore, they will be able to produce many, many more batteries, and they'll have a terafactory instead of a gigafactory coming up to produce these batteries. By the by, I think Maxwell Technologies' dry electrode technology is also very much worth an episode, so if you're interested in that, definitely make sure you ask. If you start thinking about energy density getting up and the battery constraints going away, it really would be a major, major difference to the 2020s versus the battery technology that exists right now. Also, I think we start to see that there's going to be a little bit of a bifurcation in battery technology. I think there's going to be the incremental upgrades of the current battery technology that exists with dry electrode and so forth. And then there's going to be this next generation nanowire technology. And for at least for a period of time, they're going to be producing both. The nanowire in their more high-end, more capacity needed, semi, Roadster, Plaid Model S, maybe Cybertruck, and then their more mass-market models like the Model 2, which will eventually come up again, I did a video on that, or the Model 3 or the Model Y, that they'll be using this other more refined technology that already exists. So I think they're going to bifurcate their battery technology, so that's a little bit of a bonus prediction. Okay, and the last couple are going to get a little bit on the zany side. Number 9. There we go. I think that they're going to have potentially a drone that is going to be around this meeting somehow. I think the idea would be that it would run the entire conference call on one charge. So they would have a drone and it would be flying around and it would demonstrate how much energy density they have. You know, if the thing could run for like an hour on a charge, it would be remarkable and it would be pretty darn cool. So that's a little bit goofy, but I think that that might be a possibility. And number 10, a vertical takeoff and landing airplane. Elon Musk, I think it was 2012 when Iron Man 2 came out, and he was in there and talked about a VTOL. And what a cool thing it would be if suddenly Elon Musk was like, oh, wait, it really exists. He said somewhere around 400 kilowatt hours of energy density would be the place where you could start to have a VTOL engine. So they could also potentially have some sort of mock-up that would be like a drone but look like a VTOL, or would be a VTOL that was a drone or something. That would actually be running during the conference call. So that's why I think kind of 9 and 10 are connected together. It could just be a regular quadcopter, but it could also be something that was super cool, looked like a actual VTOL type of aircraft, but, you know, was just a small scale version of it, but was running on those batteries. How fun would that be? And last but not least, like I said, number 11, you get a bonus prediction, which has to do with SpaceX, and that is satellites. So you're like, what? So I think that they might announce, or they might not announce this, but they might be thinking about increasing the efficacy of SpaceX's Starlink satellite network by adding satellites, which would actually be ultra high flying drones, autonomous vehicles. Amprius has talked about doing this in their marketing material. This would be something that could get latency of the satellite network from 20 to 30 milliseconds to, let's say, in densely populated areas, if you had these things flying above those areas, it could get the local one down to like just a few milliseconds, like 5 to 10 milliseconds. And globally, it might get as low as 10 for, you know, for large cities. So like New York to Shanghai or something like that. The ping could go incredibly far down if you had these things flying at like 80,000 kilometers. Excuse me, 80 kilometers, not 80,000 meters up above the, in the very, very high atmosphere. It would take no time to bounce signals off of them. That they could use SpaceX's Starlink technology, but put them on these high-flying drones that could fly around for potentially months at a time before they would need to recharge. So it's just a thought. Like I said, it's a little bit zany, but I could certainly see a Tesla SpaceX kind of like, you know, combination where they do ultra low latency stuff for larger markets. It would also take some of the bandwidth problems that they're having. They're talking about in high bandwidth use areas, like, again, like a large city, that Starlink would not be ideal because it just doesn't have enough bandwidth. But what if you added another layer of these things at 80 kilometers up there that were just hovering around waiting to do this? And you could have a lot of those things, right? And you could even sort of on demand it. You could actually add some if you needed to. So if they could get FCC approval to be flying these things at very high altitude, what a cool sort of like extra layer they could add into their Starlink network. And Tesla could be behind that because of the battery technology and all of that. So I think it would be a really cool and fun thing that they could put together. I don't know that they would announce this at Battery Day, but if they do, man, I want some serious kudos for that, because I think that's a super cool idea. Okay, so there's 10 plus 1. You get 11 predictions for the price of 10. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, definitely make sure you mash the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel for more of these. And please ask questions in the comments or at my email address, which is DrKnowItAllKnows@gmail.com. Till next time, bye-bye.